Podcast One presents Fully Booked by Kirkus Reviews, the ultimate insider's scoop on the best new books. Every week, Kirkus brings you author interviews, recommendations from the bestseller lists, and insights into books that are not yet on your radar.
Hi, I'm Megan LaBreeze, editor-at-large of Kirkus Reviews. Welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. Thank you so much for joining us. My guest today is Evelyn Clarke, here to discuss The Ending Writes Itself, out today from Harper. Fiction writers compete to finish a famous author's abandoned novel, Kirkus writes, in an admiring review of this hotly anticipated closed circle mystery, which garnered some early acclaim from none other than Stephen King, who says it's clearly in the running for the best mystery of 2026. Mysterious. Who is this phenomenal Evelyn Clarke, debut novelist extraordinaire? Well, Evelyn Clarke is the pen name for #1 New York Times bestselling fantasy author V.E. Schwab and screenwriter author Cat Clarke, storytelling friends who teamed up, despite some initial hesitations, some protestations, to tell this truly unforgettable tale together. Why they did it, how they did it, will be the meat of our conversation, but first, here's a bit more from Kirkus's review of The Ending Writes Itself. 7 writers, all but one published, have received invitations to spend the weekend with crime novelist Arthur Fletch, the world's most successful author, on his private island off the coast of Scotland. When they arrive at his cliffside castle, they expect to take part in one of the literary salons for which Fletch is famous. Instead, they're greeted by his agent, who informs them that Fletch is dead. Why has there been nothing about this in the press? Because there are some loose ends that must be tied up first. Fletch has left his eagerly anticipated final novel unfinished, so the agent has summoned the writers to the island for a competition. One of them will get to complete Fletch's book. As premises go, this one's a humdinger, courtesy of fantasy writer V.E. Schwab and YA author Cat Clarke, here joining forces as Clarke. The story contains an amusing through line about the indignity of being an uncelebrated novelist. As the agent tells the assembled writers, the contest winner will receive both cash and something equally valuable: a way out of the midlist. High concept and highly entertaining. After the break, Evelyn Clarke joins us to discuss The Ending Writes Itself. And after our interview, we've got a little something special going on. If you follow Kirkus Reviews on Instagram and DM us the title of one of the book recommendations V.E. Schwab and Cat Clarke make at the end of our conversation, you'll be entered in a drawing to receive a $100 Visa gift card, courtesy of Kirkus. Congratulations to our latest winner, Kyle McLaughlin. Kyle, thanks for listening to Fully Booked.
This message is brought to you by Kevin Rankin, author of Ballad of the Wayward Child. Rankin chronicles a gay boy's coming of age in this literary novel and stories. In the first episode, 6-year-old Ike is walking away from his grandmother's porch when a hand reaches for him from an open doorway. The story ends, and the novel moves on before readers get any details, but the incident haunts Ike for the rest of the book. With each story, Ike grows a year older and learns a new harsh truth about the world. Other kids don't like books as much as he does, his brother can easily hurt him, etc. As the years pass, Ike comes into himself one experience at a time, including his first kiss with a boy at summer camp. Rankin effectively varies the stories, switching points of view and format. Strewn throughout are looks into the isolated lives led by seemingly everybody Ike encounters. From such fragments, a memorable portrait emerges. Kirkus Reviews called it, quote, an affecting fictional biography told in episodes strung across a quarter century, end quote. Readers can find Ballad of the Wayward Child on Amazon in paperback and ebook. This message is brought to you by Jennifer Griffith, author of Both Sides of Then. All of us are born from a mother, but how many of us can say we know the woman she was before she became our parent? When the author was 13, she learned that her mother, Anna, relinquished her firstborn for adoption and that her father was leaving the family. Her world fractured overnight, and a turbulent adolescence followed, marked by self-destruction, longing, and a desperate search for stability. As she grew older, she attempted to make sense of the chaos by piecing together the scattered stories her mother shared throughout her childhood. In alternating chapters, the book follows the author through the early unraveling of her family, the painful fallout of her mother's secrets and her father's departure, and her own journey through therapy, love, loss, marriage, and motherhood. The narrative effectively charts the lives of two women, each fighting fiercely to claim their own agency. Kirkus Reviews called it, quote, a candid intergenerational story of survival, motherhood, and the fragile ties that bind families together, end quote. Readers can find both sides of Then on Amazon in all formats.
Welcome, Evelyn Clarke, to Fully Booked. Thank you so much for joining me to discuss The Ending Writes Itself. So first things first, let's do a voice check. Who's who? Would you please introduce yourself? Let's start with the contributor of the Evelyn.
Ooh, that would be me. I am V.E. Schwab, which became E.V., which then became Evelyn, and I am the Evelyn of Evelyn Clarke.
Thank you. And now to the contributor of the Clarke.
I am Cat Clarke. I'm the non-American part of Evelyn Clarke. I'm Scottish, but V is laughing now because she says I'm not really Scottish, but I promise I am.
I just said you don't sound Scottish. I kind of think you should have to do this entire interview with a really rich brogue.
I am absolutely not going to do that, but I might practice for book tour.
Well, we'll see about that. You know, a lot of things can happen in a 20-minute conversation.
That's true.
So the two of you have combined to make this exquisite Voltron of literary greatness. And despite the fact that you, Kat, had sworn off publishing, and you, V, can I call you V?
You can call me V.
Okay, and you, V, you vowed never to co-write a book, let alone one without fantasy. So this is a never, ever kind of thing. So the first question is, how on earth did this book happen?
I ask myself that question every day.
That's a great question.
V, how on earth did this book happen?
Well, you should know that Kat and I have been friends for about 15 years and that I spend a lot of time in her kitchen. I like to let myself into her kitchen and sit at her kitchen table and make her make me coffee, which is a thing that she loves to do. And I walked into her kitchen one day and said, hey, I have a kernel of an idea for a book, but it doesn't have any fantasy in it. So I would have to do it under a pseudonym. If I explored this, would you like to write the screenplay?
And I said, sure. That sounds fun. Come back to me, in 6 months or a year, and I'll do that. But then the next day,
the next day I walked back into the kitchen. I said, "Hey, never mind, because that's actually like so much work. So what if you just wrote the book with me?" And Kat had left publishing for the wilds of screenwriting at this point, and I dragged her back in.
Yeah, because V promised it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone promises me fun, I expect fun. So I was like, sure, I won't say no to that. Let's do it.
And it began.
And it began. So many questions I have for you, but we're laying the foundation for a more traditional interview in the front half of this conversation. So I must ask you, what is this book about? Who'd like to take it first?
Oh, V is much better at this than I am.
Well, the book is about 6 struggling authors who are all given an invitation to go to a very fancy, what they believe to be a very fancy literary salon on a very famous author's private Scottish island. But when they get there, they discover that the famous author in question has died, and they have all been given the chance to complete his final work. And it becomes a little bit of a who's going to make it out of this with a book deal and or their life.
Anything to add, Kat?
It's a murder mystery, but it's also a satire about the publishing industry. So it kind of combines those two things, which is what made it super fun to write.
Oh boy, howdy, is it ever. It is a glorious satire, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty much as far as we wade into the book. I mean, I don't want any spoilers because the experience of reading it and watching it unfold is so delicious. There are a few things I'd like to a little bit play with, and tell me if this is too far. But of the 6 authors you named who think that this is a really cool opportunity to be at this salon, one of those authors is actually a duo writing under a pen name. I wanted to ask, what inspired that?
It wasn't us.
It actually wasn't. I think it was just a fun. It was just a way to have add an extra dynamic, like these two people who know each other very well, because I like, that it's all these strangers coming together, but it's also interesting when there's two people who know each other and they're all, they're keeping secrets from the rest of them. And I just think it adds another fun layer. And also it's interesting. Writing duos is very interesting. The psychology of that I find it fascinating now.
To be fair, in like retrospect, I probably am the Malcolm to Cat Sienna, meaning that I really enjoy. Okay, only not in that I don't do the work, but in that I really I enjoy being an author with a capital A, and I think Cat loves being a writer. Meaning that like
with a tiny W,
meaning that Cat is a purist who's like in it for the love of the work itself, and I am very much about like the final consumable element, and so I definitely think that in retrospect, so much of this book was therapy. So much of this book was like an exorcism of our own traumas over the course of the 15 years in publishing, and between the two of us, Kat was an editor, married to a literary agent, and the two of us have seen kind of every strata of the industry. So it was very catharsis. But looking back, I can see how, like, in our dynamic, sometimes I might be the Malcolm.
No, you haven't admitted to that before. That's interesting.
I know.
I'm glad this conversation's being recorded.
Me too. We're poised to go viral with this one. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm the Malcolm.
But it does, having those characters, as Kat says, it allows us to kind of explore different facets of our insecurities, different facets of like how we feel we present versus how we actually like love to work. And so, yeah, it's cathartic.
And it was fun to create the one character in the book that both of us hate.
Yeah.
Which would be Malcolm. Which is, for those listening who haven't read the book, why it's such a big red flag that I am identifying in any way with Malcolm here.
He is the worst.
Of course, he is the worst.
Thanks, Kat.
I didn't say you are the worst. You are wonderful.
It's okay.
I'm going to ask the question of my heart right now. This is not pre-planned.
Do it.
What attracted you to one another? What is your friendship built on?
Oh, what? Oh my God, you're coming at us with the deep questions.
Yeah, I'm giving you the full James Lipton behind the actor's studio. For if you were at the pearly gates of heaven, what would you want? Which one is it? St. Peter or St. Paul? St. Peter to say to you? Paul?
Yeah.
It starts with a P.
I think it's Peter.
Okay, well, either way, that's not your question. Your question, like, what
I'm also a pagan, so I should not answer that question for anybody. I'm guessing based on pop culture references.
We'll get it fact checked. Yeah, I have about a Jeopardy level of knowledge of that as well. But I'm interested because it's a rough industry, and you really take the piss, and we're going to return to that phrase later, but out of the publishing industry and the relationships that people are bound to forge and the ones that do, and how hard it is really to form friendships when you you're in this kind of like, I would say it's an artificial scarcity, but this realm of scarcity. It feels like if somebody gets something, you're not going to get it. Everybody,
it feels like a zero-sum game industry, and it's kind of like authors are made to feel that way as well because it's kind of imposed upon them. Kat, you have to answer this. How did we become?
Yeah, how'd you know you could trust one another?
We didn't. We met like 15 years ago, like at the start of our author careers, when we were both open to meeting strangers, and before we were jaded. So I think that's how we were able to forge a friendship, in that it was kind of, the whole industry was new to us. We met on Twitter. Can you believe it?
No.
We met on Twitter when Victoria was traveling up to Edinburgh. She'd never been here before. And I was like, a fellow young adult author, please, let's just meet up. Why not? That's just this thing that regular humans do. But now the very idea of it gives me the shivers.
Wild. Like, it's so antithetical to both of our personalities.
Yeah. It's just so lucky it happened. Like,
I know.
I must have had like a nice lunch that day and was feeling happy and
generous.
good. Yeah, I was feeling generous. Like, welcome to my hometown. Come on in.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of forged a friendship through kind of sharing these horror stories about the industry. And that built a level of trust, because there's things you say to your friends that you can never say online, because your publisher would be really mad.
Also, I think it helps that like we were never false competitors.
Right.
Like we kind of pivoted very early in our friendship, and I left YA and Kat left YA, and we went to different places. We went to separate corners, but because of that, we were always kind of each other's safe space.
Yeah.
Like we could always bring our troubles and our dramas and our whatever we were going through to literally Kat's kitchen table.
It's a shame though, because we could have been great nemeses.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
Oh,
I think that would have been cool, but we probably wouldn't have written the book together. So
Probably
Yeah.
not.
maybe it's better this way.
Yeah, I think the friendship first, like it's not as though we were author colleagues who then became friends.
Yeah.
We were just
No.
friends.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's so healthy that way
Yeah.
because the writing is truly an icing for our friendship, not cake. Like it's not a foundational element of our friendship at all. Like it puts your friendship through the ringer to be in business with each other.
Yeah.
And that is like, it was thank God we came through it unscathed, but like it's definitely something that it came after the friendship.
Right. So when you brought that friendship into this writing process, like was this completely unique and off the wall for both of you process-wise? Did you have to compromise a lot in how you worked?
I mean,
Yes.
it took us a long time to figure out how to work together. Not in that we were difficult to work with, just like how best the process would work for us with writing this kind of book. So yeah, it took us till 3/4 of the way through the book until we kind of felt like a well-oiled machine. But what we don't as co-writers split the different points of view in the book. We have our hands on everything. So we create the story in layers. V, I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, and so we've both worked in scripts, Kat far more than me, and scripts are an inherently collaborative process. You're creating a blueprint for somebody else to work from. And novels are such a, historically for both of us, very solitary process. And so we kind of went into it having no idea how we were going to do it. Like I am an extremely, extremely perfectionistic prose writer where I need every sound in a sentence to be a specific way. Kat is very, very, very picky about dialogue because obviously coming from screenwriting, that's where things shine.
Yeah.
And so we were learning, it's the metaphor of learning to fly the plane while you're building the plane.
Yeah.
We both came in with a set of skills as writers, but every time you change medium or change process, you kind of have to learn from the beginning again. And so to Kat's point, yeah, I think there was a moment about 3/4 of the way through the first draft where it clicked and we realized that, oh, we're making too much work for each other. What if we just treat every piece of this book like we're building a room in a house, right? And you have a blueprint and then you have a scaffold and then you have walls and then you have decor and we kind of layer over the top of each other until we're both perfectly happy with the way a scene works.
Wow. I'm fascinated by this. I love hearing it. And also, for what it's worth, the dialogue is snap, crackle, pop. So way to go, Kat.
Yeah.
And V,
Good job.
It was
I
both
always,
of us.
yeah,
It was both
yeah.
of us.
Well, of course, everybody's in everything. But V, I think of you as your reader. I think of you as somebody who really just smacks it at the beginning and the end of each chapter too. And that was really alive in this draft too. And I know, Kat, that your hands are all over that as well. So it's really interesting. Thank you for the insight into your process. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back with part 2 of our conversation after.
You're listening to Fully Booked by Kirkus Reviews.
This message is brought to you by Sterling Nixon, author of Acadia. Get ready for a sci-fi story that hits fast, hits hard, and doesn't let go. In Acadia, the last human city on Earth hides behind a colossal wall and 8 massive gates, defended by the Validated, elite warriors in energy pulsing, Greek-inspired armor, standing between humanity and the Roaches, giant creatures that launch brutal mass attacks. 16-year-old Kojax is sent into the Megiddo, where disciples are forged into the next generation of warriors. Everyone expects greatness from him. He's the son of Titan, one of the city's elite. But everything changes when he forms an uneasy alliance with Jessica, an outcast known as the Aberration, a girl found beyond the wall, and the only one who knows a terrifying truth about Acadia. Written by Sterling Nixon and narrated by the phenomenal Ewan Morton, Acadia delivers relentless action, sharp dialogue, and a chilling mystery that hints someone inside the city may already be plotting revenge. Kirkus Reviews said of the novel, quote, "Unforgettable characters enhance this taut dystopian tale," end quote. Find it on most major platforms, including Amazon. This is Acadia, where becoming a hero may cost you everything, and learning the truth may cost you the city.
This message is brought to you by Michael McKinley, H. Robert John, and Nancy Merritt Bell, authors of Squawk 7700. An airliner goes down in flames, and shortly thereafter is followed by another. A ransom note arrives demanding $100 million or the attacks won't stop. That's when David Doyle, a quirky NTSB investigator, goes to work. His investigation, by chance, needs Sarah Hart, an intuitive med student. They team up to unravel the mystery that is at the heart of Squawk 7700. There's chemistry between Dave and Sarah, but that takes a back seat until they figure out the method by which the bad guys are taking down planes, and then have to stop them. The dread and urgency that Sarah and Dave feel is palpable, through page after page until the thrilling climax of Squawk delivers. You won't be able to put this thriller down. Kirkus Reviews called it, quote, an intriguing aeronautic thriller, end quote. Readers can find Squawk 7700 in hardcover wherever books are sold.
This message is brought to you by Sterling Nixon, author of Acadia. Get ready for a sci-fi story that hits fast, hits hard, and doesn't let go. In Acadia, the last human city on Earth hides behind a colossal wall and 8 massive gates, defended by the Validated, elite warriors in energy pulsing, Greek-inspired armor, standing between humanity and the roaches, giant creatures that launch brutal mass attacks. 16-year-old Kojaks is sent into the Megiddo, where disciples are forged into the next generation of warriors. Everyone expects greatness from him. He's the son of Titan, one of the city's elite. But everything changes when he forms an uneasy alliance with Jessica, an outcast known as the Aberration, a girl found beyond the wall, and the only one who knows a terrifying truth about Acadia. Written by Sterling Nixon and narrated by the phenomenal Ewan Morton, Acadia delivers relentless action, sharp dialogue, and a chilling mystery that hints someone inside the city may already be plotting revenge. Kirkus Reviews said of the novel, quote, "Unforgettable characters enhance this taut dystopian tale," end quote. Find it on most major platforms, including Amazon. This is Acadia, where becoming a hero may cost you everything, and learning the truth may cost you the city.
The ultimate insider scoop on the latest books, right here on Fully Booked.
I'm back with Evelyn Clarke, aka V.E. Schwab and Cat Clarke, authors of The Ending Writes Itself. Welcome back. So I mentioned the phrase, the awesome British phrase, taking the piss earlier in our conversation. This is one of the funniest books I've read, period. You know, and a lot of the humor to me comes from, you know, the satirization of the publishing industry. Returning to the idea of why one might swear off publishing, Kat, how did you transition into screenwriting? Why did you make that decision?
So I'd been in YA for quite a few years, and I'd kind of increasingly found myself not enjoying it. And it was kind of around the time that social media was becoming more and more important to an author's platform. And I was also kind of having issues with my publisher, because for the last book deal they offered me, they wanted to pay me less than I'd been paid before.
Boo.
And that, you know, it's a financial reality. And I was like, oh, I don't like this, because I felt like my books were getting better.
Yeah.
And they wanted to pay me less, and I was like, this doesn't I understand the finances of it, but this doesn't make me feel good about myself. So I'd rather not. I'd rather go to a really sane, reasonable industry like screenwriting.
Oh yeah.
Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Yeah. So that, that was a choice. And now I'm back. with my tail between
your will.
With my tail between my legs.
Yeah, I dragged her into the party, and I was like, "No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun."
I've been really mulling on what you said, V, about a writer, W writer, and capital A author, and the distinction between those two things. And obviously, both of you are each of those. And that's another thing that I really love about this book is it's nothing's easy, and you really are taking the piss in a lot of ways, but there's a real brightness to it, and there's a real knowledge that there's a spectrum of truths that we're forced to hold in one hand all at the same time. Feels like a rush sometimes, but there's no easy binaries here.
We tried with it's compassion.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
We are taking the piss out of publishing with a capital P.
Right.
We are not taking the piss out of any individuals within the system. Because the fact is, there are people at every single stage of this and at every single tier who are just doing their best and are in it because they believe in stories.
Right.
And so that's, whether it's the editors, whether it's the publicists, whether it's the writers, there are on the individual level, you don't survive this industry, you don't persist in this industry unless you love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But on a systematic and systemic level, this is the place where art and business meet. And whenever you have an intersection of art and business, it gets really, really hard to hold a soul. Yeah,
it does. Mm-hmm. Speaking on the individual level, though, in this book, one of the things I love about this is, without, giving too much away, but, you've got 6 writers, they all want the same thing, and they're clocking one another throughout this book. They're in this castle. They're all highly observant. They're detail obsessed. So if you go around these people and you, for example, chew the dry skin off the bottom of your lip in winter, they might gank that tick for a character, Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. As would we.
Yeah. Has either of you ever been called out by a loved one for ganking a tick?
Oh, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I will take, I'll take really small ticks. I'll take ticks that nobody would miss. I would never insert a character whole from my life. Right. But I'll steal my mom's illegible handwriting for something. Or I'll steal a very specific little thing that somebody does that I'm watching. Just teeny tiny bits. I'm like a little magpie for people's affects.
I steal dialogue. I steal funny phrases that people say, or just weird idiosyncratic words that people.
Where do you steal it? Just out and about?
Usually from friends.
Yeah.
Because I find my friends delightful, and they often just have weird ways of looking at the world. So I'll put that in, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that's nice," and they don't see the other things that I might have stolen from them, because nobody recognizes the bad stuff.
Yeah, I heard someone somewhere someday in the existence of humanity say something along the lines of people think the character is them when it is absolutely not at all, and when they're ganked 80% from life, they're like, that's not me.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all fiction and none of it's fiction. The anecdotes in this book, none of them are fiction. So basically this entire book is fiction, but every horror story told at that dinner table over the course of those 72 hours either happened to one of us directly or one of our closest friends.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah. There's no, there were a few things.
We'll never tell.
I was saying there's a few things that couldn't go in because there was no way to put them in a way that didn't reveal who they were about.
Ooh. I'd love the director's cut of this book.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Don't worry. When the recording stops, Megan, I'll give you a piece of tea on one of them.
Oh, okay. Let's rush through to the end. I did want to ask you though. So for the uninitiated, this is called a locked room thriller or a locked room mystery? That's
a closed circle.
Closed circle?
Yeah. Okay. Kat, do you know the difference? I was Googling the difference the other day between locked room and closed circle.
It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same. You say locked room, but you don't actually mean a single room. You mean a closed environment. where there's only a certain number of suspects available.
Locked Room is more like the first Knives Out film, I think, where it's like literally that murder or that death happens in one room that has no entry or exit. Closed Circle is like, it had to be one of the people here.
But I think they've kind of come to mean the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people use them kind of interchangeably now. Yeah. Yeah, that's the word, synonymous. You're such a writer.
Yeah, so it is a little closed loop system, which I think is always kind of delicious because it invites the audience, whether that's a film, a TV show, or a novel, it invites the audience to try to guess as well.
Absolutely. It's interesting with all the terminology, you know, especially in book world. It's really terminology in general. It's really a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like these words, they aid in our understanding of the world and ourselves. But one thing your book reminded me actually is how incredibly limiting terms can be as well. Because I mean, you have 6 authors in here, and each of them is kind of, you know, like as we get to know them, we kind of find out like this is the YA writer, or this is the fantasy writer, this is the crime writer, and it's like I know of a very famous author, deceased, who he was not happy to have his books called historical fiction. Like this is like a super famous award-winning guy, you know. But people were like, "You write historical fiction?" He was like, "I do not." You know? It's like, what did you want them to be called? Like literary fiction, fiction. You know, it's all fiction.
I have such an antagonistic relationship with this entire, like, I want to write an entire doctoral thesis on just like the positive negative of genre subgenre, because it just is, I think that it's really interesting, but with heightened specificity of what you're reading leads to lower discoverability for what you can read. And also like as someone who's come through the experience of having a book of theirs that is a fantasy placed in general fiction, like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is treated completely differently for being placed in general fiction, and it accessed an entirely different audience for me. So I'm always really, I would say, gun shy of like having a book put in categories. I also think, as we discuss in the book, like it's something that happens disproportionately to women, something that happens disproportionately to very specific subgenres that comes with a qualitative assessment, and it's something that publishing itself perpetuates. So like it's really tricky. We are very, very aware that we are playing with and between genre lines, but it's like I resist the desire to make it infinitely subgenre, because it just seems like it's limiting and limiting and limiting discoverability.
Kat, when you're having coffee in your kitchen together, is this the point where you get out the whiskey?
Yes, definitely. When the stories start coming out, and it's whiskey, it's wine for me. But it's interesting that the whole, you know, because this book has been called a thriller by some people, a mystery by others, and I find myself resistant to both of those, because to me, it's a story, which sounds hopelessly naive, but when I pick up a book and it's described as a thriller, I have certain expectations that I'm kind of frustrated if a book doesn't meet. And I think sometimes putting a book in these genres can make you, you know, pick up the kind of book that maybe you're not looking for. If I'm in the mood for a thriller, I want, you know, thrills and spills. I want propulsive action, and I think our book is great, but I don't think it's that.
But it's more fun, and it's more about the people. Like, of course, the plot is a construct for what we're doing, but it's really about like identity.
Yeah. No, and that's always, you know, kind of what interests me. It's just people's lives. That's It's just general fiction, right?
Exactly.
That's what we're going to call it, V.
Well, that's why I'm always trying to get everything placed in general fiction, because I'm like, I think we want it cross-referenced, right? Like put it in mystery and put it in satire and put it in general fiction. Put it wherever you want that gets people who wouldn't know if they would like it to pick it up, which is kind of just like the bee in my bonnet for my soapbox for everything, is like, you don't know if you like something if you only pick up what you know you like.
Exactly. I'm now thinking that, you know, if I were to become an internationally famous drag king, my name might be General Fiction.
Oh my God.
Like a military thing, right? Like a military.
I just had Hamilton in my head. I was just like, General Fiction. That's
incredible.
I always wanted to have a kitten called General Pain.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
Well, the one thing I would call this book is excellent. And I was wondering if, before we bid adieu today, if you would do our listeners the kindness of recommending another excellent book. We're big on reading recommendations here at Fully Booked. So is there a book you'd recommend to our listeners?
Oh, well, I'm currently reading a brilliant debut novel by a Scottish novelist called Samantha Dewey Miles. It's called Under the Hammer, sorry, and it's also it's a satire and a thriller about the housing crisis, about a young woman who decides to solve the housing crisis by killing landlords. And it's super dark. It's really, really funny.
Delightful.
I have really weird and very disparate tastes. I'm currently reading a nonfiction book called How to Read a Tree, which is what it sounds like. It's about dendrology, but it's about like how to learn the history and life of a tree just by looking at it and engaging with it, because I'm trying to work on my art of noticing. But I also just started, and I'm really enjoying more in our genre being not a genre, but the genre of the ending rights itself, a book called This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crumb, which is about podcast and murder.
Ooh,
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Pursuant to my interests, also the word dendrology.
Right?
What a great word.
That's such a good word. And I just happened to have looked up dendritic the other day because I was like, I live in the Hudson River Valley and all of the trees are still stripped of their leaves and all the branches and they're forking and reaching to the sky. And I was like, I'm the first person on earth to ever think that this looks like dendrites. And I looked it up and I was like, dendritic is actually, it means like tree.
Trees.
Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah,
it's really great to just make you look around and like start wondering why does that tree bend back towards the ground, or like what like. Also, I just love the parallels. So like the parallels between a nature's lifespan and something in our own life, psychology and botany and dendrology go really beautifully together.
Well, you two go really beautiful together. I can say, as you're just, I'm flush with the feeling of a story well told. And for me, as a book critic with rather democratic taste who just wants to read fiction, I just want to read a good story. When I'm approaching something, I'm like, does the story succeed on its own terms? Like the terms that it's set for itself. And this one, this book doesn't. This goes above and beyond. This is a great freaking book. And I'm so grateful to you two for the experience of reading it and for the time you spent with me today on Fully Booked. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
You.
It was a pleasure.
It was a joy.
Pleasure, and the joy is mine. That was Evelyn Clarke, a.k.a. V.E. Schwab and Cat Clarke, authors of The Ending Writes Itself, out now from Harper. As a reminder, we're continuing our special promotion for listeners of this episode. At the end of our interview, V and Kat gave us a few reading recommendations. Follow Kirkus Reviews on Instagram and DM us the title of one of those books, and you'll be entered in a drawing to receive a $100 Visa gift card, courtesy of Kirkus. Follow Kirkus_reviews on Instagram, DM us the title of one of those books, and you might win that $100 gift card. Well, that does it for another episode of Fully Booked. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again next week when my guest will be #1 New York Times bestselling author Rainbow Rowell, here to discuss her highly anticipated new novel, Cherry Baby, out next week from William Morrow. Cherry Baby is the story of an Omaha woman named Cherry whose world is coming apart. A Hollywood movie based on her husband's wildly popular comic strip, which is based on their life together, is about to come out. And their marriage is about to break up. Can Cherry get her groove back? Well, let this sexy, funny, poignant novel show you. It's a wonderful ride. You won't want to miss our conversation. And this Thursday, you won't want to miss Behind the Mic by Kirkus Reviews. On this popular podcast, formerly hosted by AudioFile magazine, the subject is audiobooks. Every Thursday, Kirkus' reviewers and host Joe Reed discuss fascinating audiobooks and narrators. Find your next great listen on Behind the Mic. Follow Behind the Mic on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, book lovers. Until next week, you know what to do. Turn this thing off and go read a book.
Thanks for listening to Fully Booked by Kirkus Reviews. Check out new episodes every Tuesday at podcastone.com, on the Podcast One app, or you can subscribe on iTunes.